Welcome to Sacred Rebellion. I'm Kim Andryc.
And I'm Lora Solomon. In this podcast, we defy convention and shatter the stereotypes of what it means to be healthy and holy.
It's time to rebel.
Let's do this. Coming up on this episode, here we go, Kim. Another episode.
Whoop, whoop. And another great male guest. We're starting a trend. It's no longer just a girl show.
we're trying to branch out here. So today we have guest David. Am I saying this right? Schwerin. And David is the author of 3 books and dozens of articles published worldwide. And his latest book, Know Your Soul, Bring Joy to Your Life, was published in 2019 and co-authored with Diana Muenz Chen.
Good.
David appeared on dozens of podcasts and spoken to academic, business, and political groups in the United States, China, and India. He's traveled to China 9 times over the past 20 years and has helped introduce both business and spiritual ideas to the Chinese people. So we're so happy to have you on the show. Welcome to the Rebellion, David.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
So you're an expert and a writer about one of our favorite topics, which is consciousness, right? I think Laura and I often talk about that being the solution to all problems, if we could all just be more conscious. So tell us a little bit about the work that you do.
Well, I started out in the investment field, which is a little bit different than where I ended up. And after 25 years or so working in the investments, I decided to sell my business and do some writing. And got some encouragement along the way. And so far I've written 3 books and dozens of articles and done work around the world in different ways. So that's a real quick snapshot.
Yeah.
We can go into it in more detail if you want.
And most of the focus has been on consciousness, kind of where we are as a species in our consciousness, where we're going, where we've been.
Yeah, that's all that, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's focused on spirituality and all its ramifications. But consciousness is a good way of framing it, and that means we're both energy and consciousness, and that's all there is. So that's a good place to focus.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I did a little, perusing of your book, and I saw, part of it is that you help to bring a better understanding of the soul, right? And it says that your book describes the origin, purpose, and structure of the soul and how to connect to your soul. So can you give us a little bit more understanding of that part?
Sure. So the soul is the first individuation from Creator, and it's a perfect hologram of Creator. So there's no big difference between the two. And the soul is structured just like we are. We have different parts of our body. The soul has different parts of its being. One of which is human beings, the physical part of the soul. The soul is primarily not in the physical, it's in the spiritual world. But we all partake of the adventure by incarnating into a body to learn things that we couldn't learn if we weren't in a body. And that's what the soul is focused on. And so it's important for all of us to know our soul, because that's who we are. We forget that. We think we're physical beings sometimes having a spiritual experience, we're really spiritual beings that are now temporarily having a physical experience. And so knowing who we are, it changes everything. If you know that you are loved, eternal, and safe, you'll act differently than if you are just thinking in terms of a temporal body that is going to disappear sometime, and you'll disappear with it. And if at the same time you realize that everything is connected, all souls are connected, and so your whole way of operating in life has to change when you understand that, because just like you wouldn't take your fist and slam it against your jaw because it's you, you wouldn't do something to harm another person or another thing because you're it's all part of you. What you do for another, you do for yourself, and what you fail to do for another, you fail to do for yourself. So it's a whole different mindset, but it's purposeful for us to be a little confused and not understand exactly what's going on, because that helps to create certain experiences that we wouldn't have otherwise. Fear is a major part of the physical existence, and there's no reason to fear if you know that you're loved, eternal, and safe, and connected to everything. So in order to have that experience of fear, we are put into a separate body, and we look like it's you against me, and you know, and you do certain things that would make no sense if you were aware of what's really going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about this, is like where we are as a species. We have all this technology. For example, we have the technology at this moment for everybody on the planet to have free energy. Like the technology exists, but then we also have a lot of humanity that's fighting over resources. You know, so this tendency to be at war, whether it's at this war within ourselves, or the war with our neighbor, or war with someone in our family, or war with, you know, kind of being in that place, versus choosing to see that we're all one, which, you know, it's like from a spiritual perspective, this idea that we're all one seems so big and so abstract. And like how to actually operationalize it and make it something, you know, so how can we be in that place and really understand that, and how differently that we act. And I see it, you know, first of all, happening with our own bodies. Like if the piece that needs to start with our own bodies, like that's job one. If we don't have that, then we're not going to really get very far with peace with anyone else, or, you know, any other another country or another species or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. If we're struggling internally, we're going to be struggling externally. And so we have to, and that goes back to why we have to understand who we are and why we're here, which is not taught in schools. Why, I don't know, but it's the most basic understanding that human beings need. Understand that you know, that this is just a very temporary existence. It's illusory in most parts, and we have to get past that. While at the same time operating in a body, we have to realize we're much more than a body. We're much more than we think we are, and we're connected with everybody, and that changes the whole ball game. Our values, our priorities, just how we operate in the world. But people are confused, understandably so, because we're not given a roadmap when we get here. We have to figure it out for ourselves, and it takes time, and it takes experiences, and it takes mistakes to both understand what's going on and to realize we got to make some changes. Most of our thoughts are what create our beliefs, and our beliefs affect our behavior. And some of the behavior that we see going on in the world right now is horrendous. And so we have to step back and we have to look at what are the beliefs that created that behavior? And are the beliefs that we have really true? We have to continually question, this is what I believe, is it true? It seems obvious, and most people say, yeah, all my beliefs are true. But if you really dig down deep and examine them, you'll find that many, many beliefs are not accurate and are, based on just superficial understandings of what we've been told, what we've been taught, what we've been conditioned to believe. So that's all part of the journey of making this place better and the way we really want it. Because I don't think there are many people in the world who would say that the world's the way they would like it to be. And so let me just stop there.
Well, and I was thinking as you were talking about how we wouldn't punch ourselves in the face, but we sometimes don't hesitate to harm others. I was also thinking about the depth of consciousness, because and Lora spoke to how we treat our body and like being at peace with our body, but it's even being at peace with our being beyond our body. Because while I don't necessarily punch myself in the face, I certainly do harm to my being by the way that I talk to myself, right?
Yes.
Like I make a mistake and suddenly I'm saying things like, gosh, I'm such an idiot. What was I thinking? I'm so stupid. And, that's the kind of harmful things that we do to ourselves when we don't recognize, the preciousness of our being, and we're not really conscious to how we are showing up for ourselves in these really important moments.
A lot of it has to do with our fears. We all have fears. And when we don't examine the fears, whether they're true or not, then we go down a path where we act in a certain way that's not good for anybody. So it's looking at our fears and our worry. We worry because of our fears. Our worry has a tremendous effect on our body, on the stress level. And many illnesses can be attributed to just simple worrying, excessive worrying. But I think that the crux of the problem is our fears. If we didn't have those fears, we would act differently. We would behave differently. So we have to look at why do we fear this or that or the other thing, and most of it is fear of the unknown, fear of losing control, fear of losing something or not gaining something we want, things of that sort. And most of them are not based on, usually they're based on past experiences that we've had that didn't turn out well. So they may not have anything to do with what's going on today. They're simply based on past experiences that we don't want to experience again.
I want to come back to something you said earlier about our beliefs. And in my work, I'm very aware of the stories that we tell ourselves about who we are and how impactful that is. And I recently read a book, and it was pretty brought up a lot. It's a pretty controversial book, I think. It's called Not in His Image. And it challenges this narrative of that there is an off-planet male deity that demands complete obedience to the point of child sacrifice. Like that's what this off-planet male deity demands in exchange for I will swoop in and save you at the last minute if you promise this obedience to me. And it sounds a little fantastical when I say it like that, but then I think about, like, in the religion that I grew up in, and you look at a lot of religions, you see this myth or story kind of underlying a lot of things, kind of this whether it's a father god type figure. And I do believe that story creates a lot of the fear and a lot of the disconnect. And so, and what's confusing is it is the story that is underpinning a lot of mainstream religions, which promote themselves as religions of love, right? So you have this myth that if you dig under the surface a little bit, it is a not a loving story about who we are and all of that. But then we have these religions that are kind of like it's like it's so thinly veiled, right? And then of course we all know that the history of what many of these religions have done to, I mean, more people have been brutally murdered in the name of this off-planet male deity god than anything that's happened to us. So I don't really know what that has to do with, but I do think this story, like bringing it to consciousness, like what do we really believe about why we're here and how we got here and what our potential is, like how, like what is the myth that we're working from, or the bigger or larger story?
Well, first to get back to what you were just saying, I think a lot of the religions that perpetuate that myth do it for control purposes.
Yeah.
And some people find comfort in having someone tell them what to do. In China, a lot of the people, not all of them, but a lot of them are like the idea that someone is controlling and telling them what to do, because they've gone through some terrible experiences over the last century or so where things were out of control. So they like the idea that there is some control, that there is somebody who is minding the store, so to speak. And I'm sure that happens. A lot of people find comfort in religions for that reason, that, you know, that there's something that they can hold on to, even if it's false. That's why I said it's important to look at your beliefs and see whether they're true or not. I mean, it wasn't too long ago that we all believed the world was flat, and we really believed it. The vast majority of people, and even today, another one would be that when you die, that's the end. So there's some really big picture questions that we have to ask ourselves to understand who we are, understand what's going on, and to make some connection with that which is above us. None of us see the full picture. So we're really lost, and we have to rely on that which does see the full picture and trust it and surrender to it. And that's a tough thing for anyone to do, because that's giving up control, to surrender. Yeah. But that's the journey that we're all on.
Especially if that thing is this off-planet male deity that demands 100% obedience in exchange for, I'll save salvation. Your sorry ass, when judgment day comes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty dehumanizing.
It is, and it's purpose. I think that's the purpose, to make us less than we are. And so when we realize that we're part of a soul, that we have a destiny that is unbelievable, that, and we have nothing to fear, that just changes the ball game completely. But it's been ingrained in us, these beliefs that we have to examine and really get to the bottom.
Yeah, it is a form of mind control and programming if you really look at it.
Sure.
And it's not so easy to see it. It's like when you're in
When
it,
you're in it,
you
right.
can't see it because you're in it. It's like being
Not
in
only that, but you can't see the big picture.
Right.
So you can't see whether it's true or not. You can't, you don't know where we're moving to, or what the end point is. Not that there's an end point, but what the goal is, and so it can be very confusing. And as I said, we're not given a roadmap, so we've got to figure it out for ourselves.
right.
And all of our problems. One of the things that I do talk about to many organizations and groups is trying to help them understand what's going on today, why it's happening, and what we can do to fix it. And so, that's a major focus. I don't know if that's something that you would be interested in talking about, but that's really.
Yeah, we could just take one thing that's a big problem. I mean, we could be the recession people are starting to talk about. I mean, that seems to be a thing, or people are upset about all kinds of things right now.
I
So
know. I mean,
pick a topic.
There's anything.
Well, but it all comes down to being out of balance. We're out of balance in so many different areas of life. And and we eventually realize that that's the case. But we have fears. Again, fear is really a crucial part of this. It comes back to, I don't want to, the status quo, I can deal with it. I don't know what the future holds, but I can deal with what's happening now. So there's a fear to make the changes that need to make and bring us back into balance, whether it's the environment or it's inequality or it's our financial dislocations. They're all out of balance. The medical field is out of balance. The education field, our gun control stuff. It's all out of balance and all causing havoc. But people, either they don't want to change, or they don't want to be told what to do. You see that so much today. I don't want to get a vaccination because I don't want anyone telling me what I have to do, or whatever it is. And so I want to keep control, and we have to realize that we're not in control. Never have been from the day we were born. We have free will, but there's an awful lot we don't control, and that's a good thing.
Well, what I was thinking about is, we were, to your point, we have free will and we're not in control, but we do, here's the one thing that Lora and I talk a lot about, and I see playing out a lot, is we also don't seem to appreciate how our choices really create our lives. And so there's also, and you kind of said it earlier when you're talking about your observation in China, it's like, I don't want to, I want to give up my ability to make choices or blind myself to see the choices that I have, because I'm so scared. And I think that I just surrender to authority. That's the other thing, is we've got this deeply ingrained belief in hierarchical authority. And there's somebody with higher authority than me. There's some entity or being or person, the government, institution, whatever. And I'm going to let them make my choices. I'm going to let them be responsible. When things don't turn out the way that I want, I have them to blame. Yeah. And, and then I just find myself in a situation where I don't think that I have any choice or control. And while I agree with you, there are plenty of things we don't have control over, and it's helpful to understand, I love the serenity prayer, right? Like it's helpful to see the things that I don't have control over,
Right.
but I do have choice, and my choice directly impacts the creation of the life that I live. And, I don't want to lose track or lose touch of that.
The simple and maybe trite saying that we create our own reality is absolutely true.
Mhm.
Everything we think, we say, and we do has an effect, has consequences. And so some people don't want to assume responsibility for that. We're being that's what part of this crisis that we're in now is helping us to see that we create our own reality. We have to wake up and we have to make changes.
Mhm.
And it's not easy for a lot of reasons. It's not something people are happy about or look forward to. But what we've gotten to the point where changes are necessary, and we have to do it ourselves. We all have gifts and talents where we can make some contributions, whether it's to the environment or it's to problems with inequality in the world, or our own financial house. Too many of us live beyond our means, and we're creating problems. These are all things that we have to make changes in to create the kind of world we want. It's getting to the point where the world is in such disarray in so many areas that more and more people are going to wake up and say, all right, enough is enough. I got to do something.
Yeah.
We're not there yet.
Yeah, if we look at the external, whatever it is, as a reflection of the internal,
Mhm.
because it's very tempting to look around and say, that's out of balance, that's out of balance. So they need to change, and they need to do that, and they need to do that. And if only they were doing that. And so there's the real kind of opportunity, evolution, growing up that is on the table is this, I'm going to change, and I'm going to stop any entertainment of things are going to be better when everybody else changes,
Mhm.
and know that I, it's just let it begin with me, or be the change you want to see. And that is, it's very seductive to think that an external solution is going to fix an internal problem. And I feel like that is the kind of like the biggest challenge, is to be in this body and to have all this external stuff going on, and to understand that it's just a reflection of it's a reflection, so it's like watching a movie.
Yep.
If you went to a movie and the screen was, the movie wasn't good, you wouldn't walk up to the movie screen and start trying to mess with it. You would know it had something to do with the film and the projection and the light, and whoever wrote the movie and all of that's what created the movie. It's not going up to the screen. And yeah, I feel like for me, that's the biggest thing, is to actually see something and to realize that I'm the one who needs to change.
Yeah.
Part of the problem is, maybe a big part, is that too many people believe that technology will solve our problems. And and the truth is, it's internal. It's not external that causes our problems. So it has to start with us, and we have to form a group of people
A community.
who are willing to make the changes that are called for, and we just need a critical mass. It's not. It sounds overwhelming at first, and it's not easy, but if we get enough people and form a critical mass, before you know it, everybody will be making the shift. But it all starts with us individually, working internally with our beliefs, determining what's true about them, changing the ones that aren't accurate, and then coalescing with others who have the same mindset.
Yeah.
And respecting everybody's journey,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah,
not,
sure.
and because everyone is on their own. We don't know,
Purposeful journey.
right? I don't know what another person's soul path is supposed to look like. I can say, oh, they're
Doing it
not
wrong.
right, or they're not doing it right, or they should be doing it. What do I know? You know,
Yeah.
I don't know the whole picture.
Yeah.
Most people don't even know what their own journey is, let alone what someone
Right,
else's is.
exactly. But
Because we're so fixated on everybody else's journey.
Yeah.
Like, how do I know? Right.
Right,
I mean,
right.
another thing that I read in researching your book was, you know, your book was described as vivid personal experiences, interactions with your higher self and soul that provided answers to your most troubling problems. And, you know, I was thinking, like, if I'm so fixated on somebody else's journey and critiquing and feeling self-righteous about what they ought to be doing, you know, it's like I miss the opportunity to really connect with my soul and really come to know my higher self and be open to hear the messages and the answers to the deep questions that plague me. So,
And listen
uh,
to the inspiration you're getting.
yeah,
Because you're getting guidance all the time.
exactly.
yeah, and whatever's happening and wherever this is going, I do believe we all play a unique role. So it is all hands on deck. Like,
Yep.
you know, whatever your role is, you know, stay in your lane and do what you
Yeah.
know, do
Mhm.
what you can, and trust that other people will do the same, and whatever's happening here is good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And by the way, the soul doesn't uh, make judgments. If whatever you're doing or thinking is not good or bad, based on from the soul's perspective,
Mhm.
because we learn from everything. Now, it may take us longer if we take
It might be
detours.
more painful.
It may be more painful, but we learn from everything, and therefore the soul is open to whatever direction you want to take it.
Yeah.
If you want to make it easy, you can, follow the straight and narrow. But if you want to deviate, that's your life.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to end up wherever you're supposed to be. It's just a matter of what it's going to look like.
And
Yeah.
how
How
long
long
it's
are you
going
going
to
to
take.
get there? Yeah.
Yeah.
How long is it going to take, and what the scenery is going to be like on your
Right.
way?
Exactly.
um, yeah. Well, I know that, you know, that you've got a website and that you're active in writing and speaking. And one of the things that you offer is this questionnaire on consciousness. Tell us a little bit about what that questionnaire offers your visitors to your website.
Well, this is just a way of helping us to look at our beliefs and see whether they're really true. How
Mhm.
conscious are we of our beliefs, and whether they will get us what we want.
Mhm.
It's very practical. In other words, if we believe we should go in one direction, but it's not bringing us the kind of fulfillment and peace that we want, then we have to stop and examine it and say, well, maybe I should redirect myself. And so this is just a series of questions that will help one to determine whether or not their beliefs are what will get the desired result, and make you more aware of what you're believing, because most people go through life, they don't know who they are, why they're here,
Mhm.
and really so little about themselves, that it's important to stop. Everybody stop and examine these things deeply.
Yeah.
This means that this takes some time away from the everyday hustle and bustle, but it will pay dividends, significant ones over time.
Well, and the other thing that it does, I mean, Laura and I say this almost every podcast, but really what the world is in the greatest need for is us all to show up, in for our souls in this context, for our souls to show up. And, when you show up in your authentic soul, you offer a beacon of light for others who are so close to finding a way to do that same thing. And, I believe we're all connected and that we all serve one another when we show up in our authentic being. And if I'm not conscious of who I am, and I'm, to your point, like caught up in the hustle or focused on other people or numbing out all day long, I never gift the world with what I have to offer.
Mhm. And we all have a task and talents and gifts to help to achieve that task. Is one of the things that I do cover in the Know Your Soul book, is that it's important for everyone to focus on whatever task they've been given. Now, I know most people will say, well, I don't know what my task is. And that's true. We have to dig it out, and praying, asking for inspiration, asking for guidance. We're all guided. We all have guides in spirit, and they're doing their best to move us in the right direction. Many times we don't want to listen to it, but we're not alone. It's amazing. We're all in this together, including the spirit world and the physical world, and everybody on the physical plane is in this together. I mean, that's one of the reasons for this pandemic, to show everybody how clearly we can't go it alone, because there's no barriers between countries or between cities or states that will stop the spread of the virus. So, and if you just focus on what's best for me, and don't give everybody a chance at getting vaccinated if that's what they want, then we're all going to be infected. We have to consider the whole and how we're all connected and in this together in order to accomplish what we want.
Yeah. Well, David, are you ready for the lightning round?
Give it my best.
All right. What rules have you chosen to rebel against on your journey to health?
Well, I don't take any medicine.
Good one.
I try to follow the fact that I'm an energy. I'm an energy being, and therefore energy medicine is where I try to find my solutions to my problems. So, for instance, I don't know if you want, this is lightning round. I won't go too far into this, but I've had conditions that the medical profession couldn't solve, but by getting healings, non-traditional healings, these problems have been solved. So traditional medicine has a part to play, particularly if you have a broken bone or something. But energy medicine, in my view, is the preferred way of solving our problems. It sometimes takes a little time, but it has no side effects, and it'll result in a much quicker recovery, a better recovery.
We're all about the energy medicine here, right, Kim?
Mhm.
So next question, David, is what does it mean to you to be holy?
Well, to be holy means to be whole. To, in other words, have all parts of your being in alignment with your soul, and to be following the intentions of your soul. At first I was going to say to be holy is to be revered, but I've found that not to be the case in my connections with various spiritual beings who I tend to revere and who I constantly say, why are they bothering with me? but we're all, we're all part of this picture. We're all of equal value. And so revering any one part doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, like you said earlier, I mean, we are a hologram of sorts, so we are a reflection. So to revere ourselves is really in reverence to source, right?
And final question.
Okay.
What do you want to say to a listener right now to help them rise up?
Okay. Well, the key is to know yourself.
Mm.
If you're going to rise up, you got to know everything that's going on within you, what your beliefs are, how you make your decisions, and to examine them and change what needs to be changed, and only worry about yourself. You can't control anybody else.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, David, for being our guest. And if
Thank you.
for our listeners who want to take the consciousness
Questionnaire.
questionnaire, it's www.consciousthinking.com.
Yep. And we'll
Check that
have
out.
connect. We'll
You get a
have.
copy of Know Your Soul.
Oh yeah, and get a
Oh,
copy of. Awesome.
nice.
But
Thank
that
you.
really will help you to understand better who you are and what you're here for.
Yeah.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, and we'll have your contact information in the show notes so people can get a hold of you and find your book.
Great. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining. Thanks for listening to Sacred Rebellion. We love connecting with you in this way. If you want to join the rebellion and enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to Sacred Rebellion.
Give us a rating and review, and please recommend us to your tribe. Follow us on social media at Sacred Rebellion Podcast on Facebook and Instagram.
Until next time, stay curious,
Stay courageous, and most of all, stay rebellious.